On Christmas Eve, 2002, a young woman vanished without a trace. She was 8 months pregnant, glowing with anticipation for her first child. Her husband reported her missing after returning from a fishing trip, telling police he'd last seen her that morning preparing to walk their dog. But something didn't add up. Within months, the case would become one of the most sensational murder trials in American history. A husband's lies would unravel on national television, and the tragic discovery of two bodies would confirm a nation's worst fears. This is the story of Laci Peterson, the husband who betrayed her, and the investigation that captivated millions. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most notorious criminal cases of the 21st century. A case that had everything: deception, infidelity, and a media circus and a justice system put to the ultimate test. If you're new here, we explore real crime cases with respect for the victims, while examining what went wrong and how justice was pursued. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that this case involves the loss of a mother and her unborn child. Laci Peterson and baby Connor deserve to be remembered as more than just a headline. Let's get into their story. Laci Denise Rocha seemed to have it all figured out. Born in 1975 in Modesto, California, she was known for her infectious smile, warm personality, and genuine kindness. Friends described her as someone who lit up every room she entered, the kind of person who remembered your birthday and checked in when you were down. In 1994, while attending California Polytechnic State University, Laci met Scott Peterson at a cafe. Scott was handsome, charming, and studying agricultural business. Their connection was immediate. By 1997, they were married in a ceremony that friends called fairy tale perfect. The couple settled in Modesto, where Laci worked as a substitute teacher, and Scott went into the fertilizer business. They bought a modest home, rescued a golden retriever named Mackenzie, and began building the life they'd always dreamed of. In 2002, that dream seemed complete when Laci announced she was pregnant. They were expecting a boy, whom they planned to name Connor. Laci threw herself into preparation, decorating the nursery, reading parenting books, sharing her excitement with everyone she knew. Her due date was February 10, 2003. By all outward appearances, the Petersons were living the American dream. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming that would soon shatter everything. December 24, 2002 started like any other day, or so Scott Peterson claimed. According to Scott, he woke up that morning and saw Laci preparing to take their dog Mackenzie for a walk in the nearby park. He told police he then drove to Berkeley Marina, about 90 miles away, to go fishing. When he returned home around 4:30 p.m., Laci was gone. Her car was in the driveway. Her purse was inside. The dog was found wandering the neighborhood with his leash still attached. Scott called Laci's mother, Sharon Rocha, asking if Laci was there. When Sharon said no, Scott reported his wife missing at 5:47 p.m. The Modesto Police Department immediately launched a search. Volunteers flooded the area, posting flyers and combing through neighborhoods. The case quickly gained media attention. A beautiful, pregnant woman missing on Christmas Eve was a story that gripped the nation. From the beginning, investigators focused on Scott. His behavior raised red flags. He seemed oddly calm, almost detached. While Laci's family was visibly distraught, Scott appeared more concerned with answering his cell phone than finding his wife. And then there was the fishing trip. On Christmas Eve? In December? Scott claimed he went to Berkeley Marina to fish for sturgeon, but he couldn't remember what bait he used. He couldn't remember if he actually fished or just decided not to. His story kept changing. Detectives also noticed something else. Scott had taken out a $250,000 life insurance policy on Lacey just weeks before her disappearance. So on December 30th, 2002, just 6 days after Lacey vanished, Modesto police received a phone call that would blow the case wide open. A woman named Amber Frey contacted authorities. She'd been dating Scott Peterson. But here's the kicker. Scott had told her he was single. He'd claimed he'd lost his wife and that this would be his first Christmas without her. This conversation happened weeks before Lacey actually disappeared. Amber was horrified when she saw Scott on the news, standing beside Lacey's family, pleading for his wife's safe return. The man she'd been intimate with was married, and his pregnant wife was missing. Working with police, Amber began recording her phone conversations with Scott. The recordings were chilling. Scott lied constantly, sometimes calling Amber while attending candlelight vigils for his missing wife. On New Year's Eve, while volunteers searched desperately for Lacey, Scott called Amber from a party, pretending to be alone in Paris, celebrating near the Eiffel Tower. The lies were brazen, the deception was staggering, and it gave investigators a possible motive. Scott wanted out of his marriage, but divorce would mean facing responsibility for his unborn child and splitting assets. Murder, he may have calculated, was easier. But without a body, prosecutors had no case. The waiting game began. For 3.5 months, Lacey Peterson's fate remained unknown. Volunteers continued searching. Her family held on to hope, though it dimmed with each passing day. Scott, meanwhile, behaved increasingly strangely, selling Lacey's car, trying to sell their house, and even discussing selling furniture from the nursery. Then, on April 13, 2003, though a couple walking their dog along the shore of San Francisco Bay made a horrific discovery: the badly decomposed body of a full-term male fetus. The next day, just 1 mile away, the torso of an adult female washed ashore. DNA testing confirmed what everyone feared. The bodies were Lacey Peterson and baby Connor. The location was damning. The bodies were found near Berkeley Marina, exactly where Scott claimed to have been fishing the day Lacey disappeared. The same fishing trip that made no sense. The same location Scott had mentioned to almost no one. On April 18, 2003, Scott Peterson was arrested near the San Diego area. When police pulled him over, he had bleached his hair, grown a goatee, and was carrying $15,000 in cash, camping equipment, and his brother's ID. He looked like a man preparing to flee. See, he was charged with 2 counts of murder: first-degree murder for Lacey and second-degree murder for Connor. The trial of Scott Peterson began in June 2004 and immediately became a media sensation. Court TV broadcast proceedings live. The nation was divided between those convinced of Scott's guilt and a smaller group who believed the evidence was circumstantial. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Rick DiStasso, built their case on a web of lies and suspicious behavior. They presented Scott's affair with Amber Frey and his lies about being single, his fishing trip to the exact location where the bodies later appeared, his strange behavior after Lacey's disappearance, evidence that he researched San Francisco Bay currents, and financial motive from life insurance policies. Amber Frey testified for the prosecution, replaying those devastating recorded phone calls. The jury heard Scott lie in real time, his voice calm and calculated, while his wife was missing. The defense, led by Mark Garagos, argued that the case was purely circumstantial. There was no physical evidence linking Scott to murder. No DNA. No murder weapon, no crime scene. They suggested Lacey was kidnapped by strangers, and that Scott was simply an unfaithful husband, not a murderer. But the defense struggled to explain away the mounting coincidences. Why did the bodies appear exactly where Scott had been? Why all the lies? Why the disguise and escape plan when he was arrested? After 5 months of testimony and 7 days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. On November 12, 2004, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for killing Lacey and second-degree murder for killing Connor. The courtroom erupted. Lacey's family wept. Scott showed almost no emotion. In December 2004, the same jury recommended the death penalty. Scott Peterson was sent to San Quentin State Prison's death row, where he maintained his innocence. For years, the case seemed closed. But in 2020, the California Supreme Court overturned Peterson's death sentence, citing issues with jury selection. He was resentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole in 2021. Peterson's defense team, now including the Los Angeles Innocence Project, continues to fight for his release, arguing that new evidence could exonerate him. And they point to inconsistencies in the original investigation and claim burglars in the neighborhood could be responsible. As of now, Scott Peterson remains in Mule Creek State Prison, serving life without parole. His appeals continue, though most legal experts believe his conviction will stand. Lacey's family has been unwavering in their belief in Scott's guilt. Her mother, Sharon Rocha, has become an advocate for victims' rights, turning her grief into purpose. The murder of Lacey Peterson remains one of the most talked-about crimes in modern American history. It exposed how someone we trust most can become our greatest threat. It showed how quickly a seemingly perfect life can be built on lies. And it reminded us that justice, while sometimes slow, can still prevail. Lacey Peterson was 27 years old when her life was stolen from her. Connor never took his first breath. They deserved so much more than they got. More time, more love, more life. This case teaches us to look beyond appearances, to trust our instincts when something feels wrong, and to remember that behind every headline is a real person with family who loves them. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you believe Scott Peterson is guilty, or do you think there's reasonable doubt? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your perspectives. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm show this content to more people who are interested in true crime analysis. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. I post new deep dive videos every week covering cases that shaped our legal system and captivated the public. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to treat each other with kindness, and I'll see you in the next video.